Well, 5 Reasons to Bet continues on the road. We're in the Canelo Saunders bubble, and with me is my guy, Bernardo Osuna. Yeah, like I said that right, we rolled the Bernardo.
How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on? You good?
Good. I'm excited to see what happens.
Bernardo covered tons of fights for ESPN Deportes. He's here, and we're going to break down the fight a little bit now. The big thing everyone talks about is how this has been more WWE than WBO for Billy Joe Saunders. Is this has any effect at all on Canelo?
No, not really. I mean, I think he really does want to hurt Billy Joe Saunders. So in the end, it's having some effect on Canelo Alvarez because it reminds me of Floyd Mayweather when he fought Canelo. And it's very clear in my mind because I asked Floyd, why aren't you talking smack? He's like, well, he doesn't understand. So what's the point? I'd be wasting my breath. But now that Canelo speaks some English, all of a sudden it's worth it for Billy Joe Saunders to taunt him. You know, he's been taunting the Mexican media and doing a lot of unsavory and saying a lot of unsavory stuff. But at the end of the day, you know what? That's what boxing needs. What's going on right now in the sport is lack of attention.
Right.
And guess what? The YouTubers are getting more attention.
We saw Mayweather and Jake Paul and Logan Paul and this Paul, that Paul, your Paul, my Paul.
Yeah, and so they're garnering more attention. So, you know, why was Floyd Mayweather so effective in becoming a moneymaker? Because he caught the attention of people who have nothing to do with boxing. And I think that's what we need. You know, the mainstream fans are always going to be there. That's your core. But if you really want to become a superstar, you got to get the attention of people who don't care about the sport. And whether it's what your exploits in the ring, that's great, but it's not enough. You have to have some personality, and if that's what Billy Joe Saunders has to do, guess what? He's got the blueprint of Tyson Fury. He's his fellow gypsy who's doing here pretty well.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the fight. Left-hander. Canelo's had troubles. His only loss was to a left-hander, Floyd Mayweather. He had, with Lara. Is that going to do anything? The big ring, the small ring, is that going to? What is his game plan? Billy Joe Saunders' game plan.
I mean, if Billy Joe Saunders wants to be effective, he'll have to follow the Floyd Mayweather game plan, which was to frustrate Saul Canelo Alvarez. Also, the Rislandy Lara game plan. You know, the Cuban former Olympian. He was a fighter who really gave him trouble. But we're talking about Canelo Alvarez 6-7 years ago. So not that much. It was 5-6 years ago. It was 2013. 2014 when those fights happened. And since then, Canelo Alvarez has improved immensely to the point where he's now the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. So how much has he improved? Well, he hasn't fought that type of fighter since then. So it's going to be a test for Canelo Alvarez as well. And Billy Joe Saunders, it's no secret that he asked for the bigger ring because he wants to use his legs. His father said, look, I want him to use his legs because we can't go power to power with Canelo. That's not Billy Joe's game. He already knows that. He doesn't have a lot of knockouts. So in the end, he knows who he is. He knows his identity as a fighter, and that's what he's going to try to use against Canelo Alvarez.
All right, so where does this fight end? Does this go to distance? Because I think it's ending in the championship rounds. I think it's going to go at least 10 rounds.
Well, yeah, the over-under is 10.5.
10.5
the over-under. Look at it right there, I think that's just about right because I really believe that Canelo's going to have trouble with Saunders for about 6 to 8 rounds because it's going to take him that long to figure him out. If you look at the fight with Kovalev was having success against Canelo for about 6 to 8 rounds, and then he broke him down. So I think the same could be true against Billy Joe Saunders, where he's going to be even tougher to hit than Sergey Kovalev was, and you know, more in the vein of Rislandy Lara and Floyd Mayweather. So when you look at it that way, it's going to go deep rounds because I don't see Canelo catching him early like he's been able to do against like an Abney Yildirim. You know, Billy Joe is smart enough. He's a good enough boxer that he could even pull off the upset in terms of a decision. But getting a decision against Canelo Alvarez
in Texas,
it's very tough. I mean, but it's the type of fight where if he executes his game plan, Billy Joe Saunders could be in this fight for the long haul.
So I think rounds. I think it ends in the 10th. I think it's a stoppage. By the way, 12-1 if it ends in the 10th round. I'm just saying. That's Bernardo Osuna. Great job he does with ESPN Deportes, ESPN Knockout. You're going to be part of the broadcast. You're always part of things here. Always good to see you, man.
Best, Jim.
Bubbles. We're in the bubble.